That is Jordan Rain. Track called From Gravesend. Before that was 200 Breaks with Only You. Only me, only you, only me. Yes, indeed. Standing by because Jeff Dudas is with us very shortly.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Jeff Dudas from underwatertimes.com.
Yes, joining us from Miami, Jeff Dudas. Good morning, Jeff.
How you doing, Wammo?
I'm very well, thank you very much. All sorts of interesting stories to talk about today. First up, this idea of a primordial soup where all life began. Are they starting to rethink this idea?
Evidently, you can take out your old biology textbooks and rip out those pages with primordial soup because that's no more. According to scientists, there's new research that says this primordial soup idea, which has been around about 80 years, said that this ultraviolet radiation was bombarding the Earth, and there was this primordial soup of methane, ammonia, and water, and out of that arose the first life, sort of spontaneously. And this theory has been around for 80 years, and there's been people kind of knocking at it, but nothing to sort of replace it. Now a new theory has come up, and evidently, according to these scientists, it makes sense that life came about from these underwater vents, these deep underwater vents.
Those are the ones that the black smokers. Exactly.
And they say these vents had the right chemicals, and also evidently what's key is there's this chemical gradient, which all living cells are positive on the outside, negative on the inside. Evidently, this also exists down there, so it sort of makes sense, and everything lines up that life came. It had the necessary agreements of everything way down in the bottom of the ocean.
Jeff, when you're out scuba diving and whatnot, do you ever look at some of the strange and small creatures, and do you ever look at them and think, well, given another 100 million years, I wonder what you'd look like?
I tell everyone that's never been scuba diving, go down there because there's a totally different world down there. And you look at some of these creatures and you scratch your head, and it's like nothing you see above land. So it's just totally bizarre, totally strange creatures down there. So
because what I find really amazing is that these creatures in their habitat at the moment are actually really adapted and are really amazing at what they do, and they camouflage themselves, or they're shaped a particular way to be a predator, or all these things. But they're not going to stay that way. They're always going to evolve into something else.
Yeah, and now there's this controversy about global warming and what's is the temperature going up or down. But evidently with the oceans, they're becoming more acidic, and so with all this CO2 in the air, which is being absorbed by the oceans, so the oceans are becoming slightly more acidic. So there's some questions on the health of what's going on underwater, how quickly they'll be able to adapt to this changing environment.
Well, because they reckon the coral will be the first thing to go.
And everything that builds a shell underwater, which is coral, and a bunch of animals, how will they react, to what's going on too.
Well, crabs would probably be one of those creatures worst affected, and they found the biggest ever crab in Britain.
I've seen pictures of this. You go on the Underweird section of Underwater Times, you see a picture. This is the scariest thing I tell you I've ever seen, and it gives you the creeps.
Yeah.
Crabzilla, they call it. It's the biggest crab ever seen in Great Britain. It is a Japanese spider crab. And it has these long arms. His body is about the size of a basketball, but it has these incredibly long arms, and there's this picture of this guy kind of holding it up almost to his head, and these long, gangly arms are going down, and the arms are about 5 foot long each, so they about 10 foot from arm to arm, and they say this crab has not stopped growing, so it's continuing to grow. There's rumors that it could get 15 feet from arm to arm.
Wow. That is really disturbing.
It's a scary. I mean, you look at it. The pictures is these long, gangly arms. They sort of have a little sharp claw at the end, and evidently its feeding claws are the longest claws. And they live naturally in the cold, deep water, about 2,500 feet down. And evidently they're scrounging around down there. And they brought this one up, and they're growing it at this National Sea Life Center in Birmingham, and they're going to keep it there for a while. Then they're going to ship it off to Belgium, I guess, when it gets too big. But
so the fact that it's the Japanese, does it mean that it comes from that area, or?
Evidently, they say, there's another sort of sidebar. They say it's a delicacy in Japan, so maybe a Japanese trawler brought it up. But there's the big trenches, deep sea trenches over there, so it'd be perfect spot for these crabs to live.
Yeah. Hey, finally, Jeff, a freediver has broken yet another record.
And this is another, you think about this Swiss diver, guy named Peter Collat, 38 years old, has spent 19 minutes and 21 seconds underwater on a single breath.
Goodness me.
And this is, again, one of these things you think about it. He said the first 12 minutes, no problem. And that's, again, sort of popular. But evidently that's when he started really thinking about what he was doing about 12 minutes in. This record has bounced around. I was just reading about this. This guy's previous record was 16 minutes and 32 seconds. He set that on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Then along came the magician David Blaine, 2008, set the record for 17 minutes and 4 seconds. Then an Italian set the record 19 minutes, and this guy came along and 19 minutes and 21 seconds.
Didn't anyone check this guy for gills or something?
I still can't imagine it. I have a pool in my backyard, and I can stay down about a minute or a minute and a half. And evidently this is a world record. There's a specialty, static apnea, where you can take 10 minutes of pure oxygen, and evidently you take all this oxygen, you take it all in, and then you enter this relaxed state, and you just sort of sit there and chill out underwater and stay down as long as you can, and just sort of fight off the urge to breathe.
Because if he was ill or the victim of an accident or something, he'd probably be pronounced brain dead.
Well, he'd probably be panicking. I mean, this is sort of the thing too. You have to enter this super, absorb all this oxygen before you go down. So, it's a crazy. I mean, this is actually a problem that happens to freedivers. They enter this blackout. So a freediver may go, someone down with the spear and fish may go down really far, really deep. Coming back up, they can enter a blackout state. And that's the danger here. Your body just sort of, because of lack of oxygen, just shuts down. So, and isn't it very dangerous? There's
two different sort of things to freediving. It's about how long you stay under, but also how deep you can go as well.
Right.
But in this instance, the record obviously wasn't about how deep he can go.
No, this guy's just in a small pool, so he's just down a few feet. But it's just again 19 minutes, 21 seconds. Not sure how much longer the body can take.
Exactly, extraordinary. Jeff Dudas, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Underwatertimes.com is where you'll head to see those stories, and boy, a whole lot more up there as well. Track now from Kitten Tank. This here is called Nah.